is the place where real dialogue matters.
Make some noise for that sound, man.
It is time to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
What's up, everybody? This is Audio Airstrike. I'm Everett Hall-McNeill. Thank you for joining us. Now, we got a special guest on hand. Tell them who you are.
My name is the Kid Gowie. You may know me from the LeBron Challenge. If you don't, come on now. I know you recognize the fist pump, but yeah, you may know me from a few things, but the LeBron Challenge is the most popular thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. We appreciate you for coming on.
I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely, man. So, look, man, I need to talk to you about something because what a difference a week or a month makes in the world of the NBA.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna throw out one question. I'm gonna let you spitball, and we can do a deep dive on what's going on.
Cool.
Raptors win the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Davis is now a Los Angeles Laker. Lonzo Ball, worst nightmare. He's going to New Orleans.
Right.
And Kyrie has been rumored to be going to 3 different places at once.
Basically.
And there's an APB out for where Durant or Klay Thompson might be going within the next 1 to 2 years. So we got all the pieces to this NBA 2019-2020 season that are scattered everywhere. And I want to know, where do you think everybody's going and why?
That's a tough question because the situation that the NBA is in right now is pretty much like anything can happen at any moment. Like the NBA has been real crazy. Like the Anthony Davis thing blew my mind because I didn't expect the move to happen that soon.
Yeah.
I thought like the Pelicans would try to test their options and stuff like that. And apparently they did, but I don't know. I feel like they didn't really see what was out there. But then again, Anthony Davis made it clear that if he wasn't going to LA, he wasn't re-signing. So that kind of like chops everybody off because nobody wants a 1-year rental. But pretty much, I think, honestly, the Pelicans may want to consider flipping Lonzo Ball to see what they can get for him. I know there was interest from the Chicago Bulls. Lonzo would look good with the Phoenix Suns. I mean, you plug him because he's a facilitator. So one of the things, he's not very good at scoring, but that's not what a true point guard is about. I feel like this new generation of audiences pretty much view point guards as the scorer of the team because we have the Steph Currys, the Chris Pauls, James Harden, these guys. But realistically, a true point guard is like Rajon Rondo, the guys that may not be that efficient at scoring, but they can do everything else. So, like I said, Chicago, Phoenix, any one of those teams to where to where New Orleans can really try to flip him, get some more keys or pieces that they can move. Who else? Kyrie Irving. His situation is tough, but I know for sure he's not going back to Boston. So it's between the New York Knicks or the Brooklyn Nets. I feel like New York is where he's going to land. He just signed with Roc Nation, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if he signed with Roc Nation, you know that's a Brooklyn thing. So
it definitely is.
Yeah. So it's like it kind of fits right there. But my only
Jay-Z
situation,
still owns. Sorry to interrupt, but Jay-Z still owns a percentage of the Nets, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or did he give up his percentage?
He gave up his percentage, but like his influence on that team was heavy. It's sort of like Toronto with Drake. It's like Drake has his own uniforms and they got the OVO logo on the hats and stuff like that. So he has a heavy impact on what the Brooklyn Nets does. But yeah, I think Kyrie could end up landing in Brooklyn. But the only off part about that is that what happens to D'Lo. And I don't see Kyrie and D'Lo being on the same team because D'Lo had just became the face of the Nets. So it's like now, if you get Kyrie Irving, you don't necessarily need D'Lo. I mean, you can get them, make one of them play the 2,
and it don't help that spotlight is being shared too.
It doesn't. So and from the Nets standpoint, I would think it's kind of awkward that you would leave D'Lo, the guy who basically revived your franchise and made you a playoff team again, to go get a guy that was in Boston, a team that was very much capable of going to the finals, and they didn't do that. So it's like, I don't know why you would make that jump. I mean, Kyrie's an extraordinary talent, not taking away anything from him, but leadership is everything in this league. So if you don't really have that leadership, you going out there for individual performances isn't going to help win games. And we see that with, unfortunately, the Houston Rockets. I'm a Houston Rockets fan. Go ahead and rub it in. But, James.
No, I'm not rubbing it in. I feel sorry for you.
So, James Harden does everything within his power, but, we fall short because that ISO ball stuff doesn't work. So, it's a tough situation. But as far as Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, I think Klay Thompson is there for good. His situation is way too good to pass up. You have a situation to where you don't have to dribble the ball. You catch the ball, you shoot. Of course, he can take over whenever he's needed. But besides that, like, you getting the big bucks to pretty much play as a second option, depending on if KD returns or not. But third option, if KD is there. So I don't think you pass that up to take a more important role and more responsibility comes on you. Because when you're not that superstar on a team, you're able to play I'll say you could play the 50. So what I mean by that is, if you have a bad game, it's like, okay, he's not the superstar. If you have an extraordinary game, it's like, wow, he's not the superstar, but look what he did. So it's like you never take full blame for the loss. So I just feel like that situation is just too ideal for Klay Thompson to pass up. He's won championships there. No reason to give that up.
It's definitely, and it's very vital to keep the Splash Brothers together, because if you don't, it's the death of the dynasty.
Exactly.
So you definitely can't do that.
No. And as far as Kevin Durant, due to his situation, I believe that he should stay in Golden State, just opt into this contract, get that $31.5 million to heal an entire season. I mean, that's free money. And then test free agency 2020, and then he can just go wherever he wants to go. I feel like signing a contract extension or a big contract right now with another organization, I mean, you're going to miss the entire first season. So it's like you may as well just opt in to your 31.5, get that, and rehab. So
yeah, I understand. Let me ask you this question, because I get kind of annoyed, but I understand it's a business. When I see top 5, top 10 players in the league leave, go elsewhere, don't stick with the team, don't worry about uplifting that team, getting multiple championships with one team. It kind of bothers me, because I'm like, where's the loyalty? Or is it a situation where, management isn't loyal to the players, or is it like a switch up? Is that what's forcing them to leave? So I just wanted your thoughts on loyalty and sticking with a team for a long period of time, and why we don't see a lot of that in this era of basketball.
Well, one of the things that I always say, because I talk about this a lot, and one of the things that I always refer to, and basically just to keep it frank, there is no loyalty in pro sports. It doesn't even matter what league it is, NBA, NFL, MLB. Pretty much what it is players are given this unfortunate situation to where they're the ones that need to be loyal to these teams. But at the same time, those same organizations aren't loyal to these players. So basically, if you're like a LeBron James, of course teams are going to do whatever they can to try to keep you there. But let's say you're a J.R. Smith, and next thing you know, oh, we're trading you to get this, we're going to trade you to get this. It's like, just because my status isn't the same doesn't mean you can just ship me out. For example, DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan loved Toronto, wanted to stay there, wanted to finish his career. He was like a staple in Toronto. Got shipped away for Kawhi Leonard on a one-year deal, and we don't even know if Kawhi is going to return. So that's one of the things that I look at when I say that these organizations aren't loyal to these players, because if a player jumps around from team to team, it's like, oh, he's disloyal, he's not sticking to one franchise. But these franchises can ship you out whenever they feel you're no longer necessary
with
to
the
them.
quickness.
Exactly. So that's always been my thing about loyalty. I feel like there has to be, each person has to be accountable for their actions. It can't just be like this side has to be loyal, but this side we can do whatever you want because it's a business. You got to have that mutual balance.
Do you think it's a situation where why is management so quick to turn up the gas? Is it like fear of losing the job? Is it they're hearing the outside, publicity? Or are they, what forces them to make such drastic decisions?
To be honest, I think it's a combination of those things. We're in the social media era, so the slightest mistake that you make, you might be
aired out.
You might be trending on the internet. So it's like, I think it's a combination between that, a combination of possibly being fired, and yeah, it's just it's a tough situation because when it comes to these teams, the first scapegoat is a head coach. So it's like if your team lost 15 games in a row, it must be the coach. You can have the same coach from a previous year. Let's say you guys win 50 games one season. The following season, you start off the game, you're 2-11, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we need a new coach now." So it's like the quickness of it really makes it drastic for people to make quick decisions. And when you have a win now mentality and you start off the season with 20 losses and you only have 10 wins, it's like, all right, we're already heading in the wrong direction. What can we do? Right. We got to make a change, whether it's a player or whether it's a coach. Somebody's getting shipped out and we're going to replace them. So I feel like it's a combination of all those things pretty much leading to why these organizations move so quickly.
And then on top of that, too, they're thinking about ticket sales and merchandise and the, leverage. They thinking leverage and equity. If we for example, the Lakers 2 months ago or even a month ago when everything happened with Magic,
right?
They looked so dysfunctional that we were sitting over here talking about, well, nobody really wants to play in L.A. like that, dealing with all that stuff. One trade happens. Everybody wants to come to LA now.
Right.
And LA's back to being a playoff team.
And not even just that, they're projected to be they're the favorite to win the finals. So it's like you go from this point to where nobody wants to go to LA to being an NBA champion. So it's crazy how narratives switch so quickly.
Yeah, it's very interesting, man. I want to get your thoughts on psychology-wise about Anthony Davis. Do you think he's happy with the move? Do you think do you think it's too good to be true? The fact that him and LeBron are both on the same team.
I think Anthony Davis is probably in a good space right now, basically off the fact that he was unhappy in New Orleans. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. I know you had the situation with Dell Demps to where Dell Demps was really against him leaving, trying to pretty much hold him hostage. And I feel like if Davis genuinely wanted to go to LA, he got his wish. Now, will it be everything that he thinks it's going to be? You never know, because playing with LeBron is kind of difficult. Not saying LeBron's toxic or anything like that, but when you play with another superstar, your role becomes shaky. You never know what to expect. Sort of like when Jimmy Butler went to the 76ers, the first thing they said was Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler were mad about their roles. They didn't know what they were supposed to do.
Right.
So you have Anthony Davis, you have LeBron James, who pretty much is a point forward. He has the ball in his hands at all times. So it's pretty much just Anthony Davis finding out how to play with this guy. And once he figured that out, I think he'll be good. The criticism is going to be heavy if he doesn't show up and LeBron does. Let's say LeBron gets a 40-point triple-double and Anthony Davis has 20 points and 10 rebounds, and they lose the game by 20 points or something. It's just something crazy. It's a random scenario. They're going to be like, Anthony Davis could have did more. He's a top 5 player. He should have had 40 points like LeBron. So a lot of stuff comes with that. But I think altogether he's in a good space because he relocated, he gets a fresh start, and he's in a city where a lot can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, because we did hear that LeBron went to LA for entertainment reasons, do you think that factors into players' decisions, like where I go can help my brand more from an entertainment standpoint if I want to branch out? Do you think that crosses a player's mind? And if so, if you were a player, would that factor into some of your decision making?
Yeah, of course. It's sort of like if you're just if you're applying for a new job. If you're applying for a new job, you look at what locations would be best for you. Let's say if you live in Baltimore, you're not going to look for a job in, let's say, Delaware. I mean, you probably would if that's something that you really want to do and you don't mind traveling. But realistically, you're going to try to find what job within that field is closest to you. So, it's I don't have to travel that much, don't have to burn gas. So it definitely plays a part in sports because let's take Carmelo Anthony, for instance, when he was a big-time free agent and he decided to stay in New York for the money. He had all his businesses there. I think Lala had businesses there too. His whole family was there. So it was like, if I relocate to a Chicago or a LA or a Houston, I have to relocate everything. So it was like, my business is here. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to get my money, and I'm going to play with the Knicks. LeBron, he decided to move to LA. He wanted his kids to go to school in LA. And he was already making these moves prior to him even making the decision. And it's like, yeah, you want to get into co-producing and doing Space Jam and stuff like that. Where other place to go than LA? Now, he could have picked the Clippers, but, with the help from Magic Johnson and talking about bringing Showtime back,
Right.
He persuaded him to go to the historic franchise. And that's pretty much how it works out. You just got to keep everything factored in, which will be best for you, your family, and your situation altogether.
Right. Now, I heard you bring up Magic. Let me ask your personal opinion on this. Do you think he should have told LeBron that he was leaving? Do you think he owed that, or do you feel like Magic didn't have to really give him any kind of notice?
I mean, from a man standpoint, they're both grown men. I mean, Magic's decision was Magic's decision. LeBron not knowing could have been the situation could have been handled better, I guess. But like, I don't think it was really that detrimental to LeBron that Magic was leaving, because either way, LeBron was trapped there. So it's like, you're not going anywhere soon. You have your situation mapped out. But one thing I will say is that there should have been some sort of communication, whether it was after he did it or prior to when he did it, just because LeBron did Magic a favor. I mean, granted, LeBron wanted to go to LA so he can do all his entertainment stuff, but at the end of the day, Lakers could not land a top free agent since Dwight Howard. And we know how that situation played out. So it's like, the fact that LeBron was like, you know what, Magic, I'm going to come there because you convinced me to play for the Lakers. And that was huge. Like, you just got arguably the best player in the NBA to come to the Lakers after you guys struck out with so many free agents year after year after year. So I just feel like, when you mentioned, does he owe it to LeBron? I feel like, in a sense, he did kind of owe him, like, yo, LeBron, I'm about to leave, or LeBron, I just left, good luck. But it was like, LeBron just found out the same time the rest of us found out. And I think that was kind of like a cold decision. But like I said, man, at the end of the day, they grown men. They handle it how they handle it. But there should have been some sort of communication.
Yeah, there should have been something like a heads up or something of that nature.
Just so he knows.
Yeah, because, I mean, in that situation, like, if I'm a part of the organization, I need to know before it goes public. I don't. That's because that's. If, I mean, I saw the shop and I saw when LeBron reaction to Magic leaving, and if somebody was telling me something, catching me off guard like that, like I find out when the public finds out, I didn't know ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's like if something happens with a friend and they blindside you and don't tell you, you find out through somebody else. I was like, and they didn't call me. Like, it's on that level. So when stuff is going on like that, I could see why he would kind of be like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And strangely, that's been a common thing, like, in recent years. I mean, we have the situation with Blake Griffin when he got traded to Detroit. He found out through Twitter. Like, nobody hit Blake Griffin's phone and was like, Blake, we're trading you to Detroit. He got on Twitter and was like, wait, what? And looked up news articles, Blake Griffin got traded. Then you have the same situation with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Westbrook, he had in his mind, like, all right, we're going to run it back next year. And Kevin Durant was like, nah, I'm gone. Like, he was already gone. Packed his house, like, everything out of his house, already traveled to Oakland, and he was already playing for Golden State before he even let Westbrook know a thing. Like, Westbrook found out the same time we did. So that's a common thing now. I don't know why it became a thing. Like, this break in communication is kind of toxic. I'm not going to lie, because if I'm a player,
it's kind of whack.
Yeah,
really.
It's like, if I'm a player and I have to find out through Twitter that I got traded, like, bro, you are a professional organization. Let me know that I've been traded. That's like you getting fired from a job and you show up and work an entire shift. It's like, oh, you don't even work here. Like,
right.
It's like, bro, so do I get paid for this time that I just worked? Like, nah, you're not on the roster. Like, it shouldn't be like that. So communication is key. They have to communicate with these people. So now that we brought that up, yeah, it makes it even more worse that what Magic did, because it's like, you got to communicate with these people. You're in a high position, so you're like the elite level of professional. Like, you have to communicate these things, because just blindly hitting people like that can rub them the wrong way. It could burn a bridge, depending on how that person takes it.
It can burn a serious bridge.
Yeah.
Because the one thing people don't like when it comes to decision making, and there's the friendship aspect involved, and then there's the business aspect involved.
Mm-hmm.
When you blindside somebody,
Right.
it could come off like a lie. It could come off like you were scheming.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't tell them up front and be like, look, this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those situations where it's like, okay, do I trust you after that?
Right.
Or like every time I see you, it's like, I don't see you with human skin no more. It's more like snake skin now.
Yeah, basically.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it's very toxic. It's very like, could start a rift, and it could be very, it could be very chaotic.
Yeah.
To the point you don't even trust the person.
And that's why Kevin Durant got that snake nickname for so long. Like, as soon as, if you even mentioned Durant or somebody posted something about Durant, you see the snake emojis in the comments. It's like, that's just how people felt about that situation. Now, at the same time, if I'm the person that's making the move, I can understand why they may not want to have that conversation, because number one, it may be awkward. And number two, what Magic said was he didn't want anybody to talk him out of it. So he was like, if he would have had a discussion with Jeannie Buss, or if he would have talked to LeBron, he didn't want anybody to sway his decision. Pretty much like, I'm going to leave, I'm going to step down, and this is what I want to do. I want to talk to you guys, but I know if I do it, you're going to do the please, Magic, stay, we need you type stuff, and then he's going to feel obligated to stay. So I can understand it from that standpoint, but at the end of the day, like I said, you're a professional. That's something you have to be able to stand on. Like, stand your ground. If that's something that you think you're going to do, or you feel like you really want to do it, still do it, but at least have the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into some Ravens talk with you, kind of switch it up. My opinion on the moves, to be honest with you, I have been praying that we get a youthful, fast, and furious defense and offense, and it looks like we're finally making that move after the terrible Joe Flacco contract that's bound us.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think was going to bind us, but then I looked deeper into it. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. And one thing that I always want to say about the Flacco situation is that we had no choice. Like, the way the guy came off that playoff run, and it's like, heck, this would be his contract year. And then you looked at free agency, you looked at the draft. There weren't really any names to where you could pick them up, make them your franchise quarterback, especially after winning the Super Bowl. So, expectations were going to be high. So Flacco showed out when he was supposed to show out, and he got that contract. Now, what he did after that, that's another story.
Pimped us. I'll say it for you. He pimped us.
That's another story for another time. But, this was definitely something that was a long time coming. I've been saying for the longest that the Ravens needed a scrambling quarterback or a dual threat quarterback, because one of the excuses people always made with Flacco was our O-line was bad. And I feel like when you put the blame on players like that, it kind of ruins their self-esteem.
Yeah.
Because it's like, imagine being an offensive lineman and you only allow 3 sacks all year, but each time the Ravens play, the O-line sucks, we got to replace this. It's like, bro, like, the O-line isn't that bad. There's quarterbacks that literally have no time to throw, and yet their quarterback is still able to get at least a 80 QBR. Like, this is something that Flacco has to also contribute to. It's not just the offensive line. I mean, these guys are bull rushing our offensive linemen. How long do you expect these people to hold these players? I mean, you have people like Aaron Donald.
Right.
Do you know how quick Aaron Donald is at his size? Imagine trying to block him the entire game and hold him for longer than 3 seconds, if possible. So it's like the slander that offensive linemen get, especially after playing a little bit of football in high school. Offensive linemen and cornerback are the 2 hardest positions on the football field. And I say that, I stand by that, because as far as cornerback, you're trying to defend somebody that's running full speed forward and you're backpedaling.
Right.
You have to mirror their moves. You can't really hand check, because if you extend your arm, pass interference, illegal touching, and you have to try to stay with them. So I always feel some type of way when I see cornerbacks and offensive linemen get criticized heavily, because it's like, bro, y'all really don't understand how difficult these positions are. But back to the topic, we're surrounding Lamar Jackson with speed, who's a speedster himself. And one of the things that these defenders always say is like, bro, I did not know this guy was that fast. Like, I knew he was a scrambler, but I didn't know he was that fast. You talk about angles. If you're on the angle and you're a defender, especially a safety, and you know all about angles, and this man Lamar still beats you, that's how you know the kid is fast. So we added Hollywood Brown. Hopefully, when he gets healthy, they're able to create some chemistry amongst each other. And not only did we get speed, but we got size too with Miles Boykin. Shout out to Miles. He's been supporting me for a while. But yeah, Miles Boykin, he's going to be, to me, he's my favorite receiver right now. And it's not because he's a supporter of mine, but because
he's got the best mix of youthfulness, but he's bulky and can go. It's almost like Anquan.
Yeah.
Almost like that.
And the thing is, with Lamar's accuracy, which isn't perfect yet, is one of those things where Miles can go get the ball. So no matter where you put it, he's going to go for the ball. It's not one of those things where you got to put it right in the bread basket in order for him to catch it. Mm-hmm. So that's something that you definitely need, because if Lamar's under pressure and he has to get rid of that ball, if he throws it any in which way, we need to have somebody that's going to try to fight to get that ball.
Right.
So that's why I really have high expectations for Miles. And yeah, he's definitely my favorite receiver on the team as of right now.
Absolutely. How do you feel about Earl Thomas coming to the Ravens?
Oh,
it feels like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, the Earl Thomas coming to the Ravens is just like, I don't want to put this energy in the air because some people may be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But it's like getting Ed Reed over again. Pretty much. It's like you get another ball hawk. You get another ball hawk, some guy that just knows the game, and he's just so knowledgeable back there. He's going to make some things happen. So having him back there is a match made in heaven.
Now, what do you think is the most we've improved on position-wise? What position do you think we've improved on the most? If you had to pick one position.
If I had to pick one position, honestly, I'd say running back.
Oh, okay.
I'd say running back. We really haven't had a consistent running back since Ray Rice. And we've had Justin Forsett. We had Alex Collins. But we never really had somebody that could just be back there at all times. And I think now that we have Mark Ingram, who's an underrated back, I think a lot of people sleep on him because he shared carries in New Orleans. But, like, he's definitely a feature back, and he should get the respect that he deserves.
Right. Gus Edwards showed up. Gus Edwards showed up.
Gus the Bus showed out last year, so him being the second string. Then you have Kenneth Dixon behind him. And then we drafted the one guy, forgot his name.
Justice Hill?
Yes, Justice Hill. It's like
speedy running back, man. Oh my
so it's
God.
just so much tools and so much it's stuff that people should fear. I mean,
because it's like, how do you defend that? And then you have to worry about Lamar too. It's like it's like you're going to be burned either way. Like it's crazy.
It's almost like a college team. You know how the college team run a whole bunch of options. It's like I expect the Ravens to get crazy with the play calls this year. Right. Hopefully they can execute them the way that they want to.
And they got the right offensive coordinator in there too. They
Definitely.
got the right one finally.
Definitely. So it's like just having those running backs. And what I love most about the running back core is the balance of it. So you have Mark Ingram. He's like a balanced back. Gus Edwards, he's a power back. But this past mini camp, he's been working on his hands so he can catch out the backfield. Hill, like you said, speedy. Kenneth Dixon, he's balanced, but he's more on the speedy side. So
this may be a hot take. I think if they were trying to cut running backs, he might be on the chopping block.
Kenneth?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah, he definitely.
And that's no shade. It's no shade to him. But
it's not. It's not ill will towards him. But I mean, if we compare the backs, it's like, bro, you might be on that chopping block in terms.
Plus, he had the what's it called? The substance abuse stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
he fumbled a couple times near the end of the season. Did he? I'm pretty sure.
I think he fumbled the playoff game, the Chargers game. Yeah. He fumbled that game. So
yeah, a couple of people. Yeah, we ain't forget that.
So we not. I'm gonna say you may be on the bubble, my guy.
Yeah, you may be on the bubble. Do you think we're gonna be able to keep all of our wide receivers? Do you think any of them are gonna be on the bubble?
I don't think we'll keep them all. The Ravens have a good way of pretending like players are injured to keep them on the practice squad or put them on like some type of IR to keep them for the following year. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but we had like a good receiver that had potential. And I remember in the preseason, he played the preseason, and all of a sudden, like, he vanished, and it was like, oh, he has like an injured hand or something. But he ended up on like one of our IR lists, so he couldn't really sign anywhere else. So I was like, maybe he really is injured, or maybe y'all kind of like was strategic with it. Pretend like he's injured, throw him on the IR so he can't go anywhere, put him on the practice squad.
I don't hate the move.
No, I don't either. But as far as the roster, I think Brown makes it, Boykin makes it, Chris Moore. They said that Jaleel has been looking good during the camp. So
Snead not gonna make it?
Yeah, Snead's gonna make it.
Okay. About to say.
I think I'm just trying to think of 5.
Yeah.
Because that's usually what they go into the season with. So I'd probably say either Jaleel Scott or Jordan Lastly. But I think it's going to be one of those two that get that last spot.
Gotcha.
If not both.
Now, in terms of style of play, in terms of what we think is going to happen, we won't know until the open practice coming up in July. They got open practice they announced coming up in July, so we won't know what they're up to until we get that look. Me personally, I'm expecting a lot of more aggressive calls because now you have the speed and youthfulness on both sides of the ball. Something that we have never had. It's always been kind of like, well, defense has older, more smarter players, and we kind of sprinkle a couple of young guys in. Yeah. And then offense is like we, almost same thing. And then we always picked kind of like either wide receivers that were like average or they were established, but they're in the tail end of their career.
Exactly.
So now there's more youth on this roster than ever before in Ravens history. Now, what do you think is going to be our style? Do you think we're going to be more West Coast style? Do you think we're going to be kind of getting away from what we used to do?
I think it's going to be just real quick paced. I remember when we had Joe Flacco, we were doing like stuff like the no huddles and things like that. I think we're going to get back to the no huddle and really just run with that. I read something recently that the reason why we switched coordinators is because the last coordinator pretty much had plays that were too complex to run the no huddle. So it was like you'd have to really think to figure out what the heck you were about to run. So now with the adjustment, it's like it's just going to be clicking. They're going to try to keep defense on their toes because when you have that much speed, you're going to get winded trying to chase these guys around, pretty much trying to contain them. So I feel like it's going to be real quick pace. They're going to run a bunch of no huddles, and they're just going to keep that ball moving. Like they're going to try to catch defense off balance and pretty much just get to the end zone that way.
I agree. It should be interesting because this is something where you got, like I said before, you got youth, you got speed, you got personalities that are suited for the Ravens. Yeah. And also you got like good coaching staff around. Like it's the best of both worlds. So hopefully they utilize everything to the best of its ability. And this is after Ozzie left. Yeah. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Ozzie was ticking me off the last couple of...
All right. I thought it was just me.
Ozzie was ticking me off the last couple of times. I'm like, bro, like, if there was ever a safe net for you to leave, now would be the time. And we'll just... Because if he had stayed around and made bogus, like, picking like 3 Bashad Perrimans back-to-back in terms of receiving core, I would have been like, I would have been done. I would have been done.
And I think with Ozzie, of course, Ozzie was incredible on defense. But I think with Ozzie... His issue was with offense, he would get rid of a player and try to get a player that was like them. Right. And I think the situation with Bashad Perriman is that we lost Torrey Smith, and he was like, you know what? This guy kind of resembles Torrey a little bit in style of play. Not really the best hands, but he has speed, can burn you downfield. We're going to take a chance on him. And we saw how that played out. That wasn't pretty, but
it was trash is what it was. It's trash is what it was. He's trying to be nice. It was trash.
I'm cool with a few Ravens, so I ain't gonna be out here calling people trash.
I'm a Ravens fan too. I'm a Ravens fan too. I'm that Ravens fan that it's like this, right? Yeah. I'll be honest about my team. If I think something what they did was trash, I'll be honest and say it.
Oh yeah.
Now I'll be honest. What was the one video? You did a one video on Ravens fans. And I was like, dang, he talking about me.
Oh, the Lamar Jackson one?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's not, I don't know. I feel like with Ravens fans, we just don't give a chance. I feel like we have this mindset that everything has to be perfect.
Right.
And nothing, it can't be less than perfect.
Right.
So like I say, with our DBs, I go to Ravens games often, and I'll just hear the crowd's reaction to stuff. So you'll watch a play, a cornerback will literally be a fingertip away from batting down the ball. Oh my gosh, you got to stop that. Where's the back? Like, bro, like, number one, playing cornerback is the hardest position along with offensive line, and you're like wilding over him missing the ball by a fingernail.
You know, the sad thing about it is the person that makes that comment is always that person that's out of shape, never did anything
Bro.
athletic, nothing of that sort. It'd always be the person that's out of shape
Yes.
with the dad bod.
Yes.
With the two dad bods, one in the front, one in the back.
And that's the hilarious part of it all. And I think that's why I hope, like, when we talk about these athletes, I hope the athletes never genuinely take it to heart, because it does suck being criticized all the time and after every single thing that you do. But at the end of the day, when you look at the people who are criticizing you, you put them on the same battlefield as you, and it's a whole different thing. Like, you can really kill somebody's self-esteem if they stepped on that field with you.
Right.
And it's like, I saw a video recently where I think Zab Judah pulled up on somebody, a boxer, if for anybody that's not familiar, but he pulled up on somebody who was talking trash, like, oh, Zab Judah's trash, I'd knock him out. And, you know, that didn't go well for that guy. So it's like you got to keep that same energy. And I make sure I let that be known. Like Anthony Joshua, he lost a fight recently, and I let it be known that anybody in that ring could beat me up, but I'm still going to talk my talk and let it be known. I'm going to state these facts. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like I said, with the Ravens fans, I think they don't want anything less than perfect. They don't really have room for mistakes, I should say. If you get beat on the pass, you're going to get slandered. You throw an incomplete pass, you're going to get slandered. Lamar Jackson is in the process of developing his passing. And
yeah, I think he added on some muscle, too, because he looks a lot bigger than he did.
Yeah, I actually saw
previous.
him in person about 2 weeks ago. And, yeah, he was much bigger than what I thought he was going to be. Pause. And, yeah, it was...
Yeah, definitely put the pause in there. I'm glad you put the pause in there. Because that could have taken a whole other route.
But,
You saw him in person.
That was
the Hilton near Camden Yards.
Yeah, that was wild. But but like though, and when I watched that, the Ravens upload footage of him during the mini camp, and people was like, "Oh, he's still throwing ducks," but like they won't acknowledge the spiral. It's like he threw a few spirals in those videos, but they only acknowledge the duck passes, and it's like, bro. What matters is that he's getting the ball where it needs to be. Like, I don't care how the ball look. As long as he throws it, it gets to the receiver, and he's able to make a play, that's all that matters at the end of the day. I mean, Joe Flacco could throw a spiral, and, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
About to be major shade throw.
Shout out to Joe.
Oh, man, absolutely. So I actually wanted to move on and talk about, your story, because I think a lot of people see you on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, but they really don't know how you became what you became as this sports video creator. So let me start off by asking you this, Gowie. One, what made you do this? Was it the sports solely? Was it video content solely? Or was it a mix of both?
Initially, I've always been a goofy person. So that's like, if you've known me from my childhood, if you know my parents, you know exactly who I get it from. So that's always been my thing. I've always been a goofy person, always cracking jokes and all the other stuff. Later on, like in my high school days, I started fooling around with cameras. And I started creating content for YouTube because I was inspired by people like Spoken Reasons and Hot Damn I Rock, who's also from Maryland, Baltimore to be exact, Kevin Edwards Jr. So I used to watch these guys, and I'm like, bro, I can make content like this.
And one thought about this, I just want to put this out there. Hot Damn I Rock could be responsible for a lot of the video creators in this area.
A lot.
Like
Easily.
he could easily say I was one of the forefront, one of the founding fathers.
And that's why when like a lot of these new school comedians talk about, oh, I'm the king of comedy and like I'm the king of Baltimore comedy, it's like, bro, like Hot Damn I Rock really inspired everybody, no matter how you try to paint the picture, no matter what type of content you record. He was the dude that we looked up to when it comes to internet creations.
Absolutely. I agree.
So that's big facts. And shout out to King Carter. I met him a few times as well, and he's a real stand-up guy. But yeah, I saw these guys on YouTube, and of course, like when you see somebody do stuff, sort of like probably you with your podcast, you probably saw somebody who was like, look, I can do that. I have a voice. And I pursued it. And the thing with me is that I had success as a content creator. So I've had like viral videos. I had a viral video back in 2012. But the thing with me is that inconsistency is what was keeping me back. And 2016, that was a rough year for me. So I was like, you know what?
It was a rough year for everybody. Oh my God. Everybody hated 2016.
Yeah, no doubt. And I got to a point to where I was like, you know what? Like, I'm tired of working this warehouse job. I'm tired of just going to school. I just got to find a way to get this money. And I was like, 2017, I'm going to go hard with the social media stuff. And that's what I did. It started off slowly. Had a video. I did a Bow Wow challenge back when Bow Wow was flexing for the gram. I did an impersonation video of that, and that got 1 million views on Facebook. And I was like, this is my first 1 million view video. I was like, I definitely got to keep going now. So then I kept making content, and then the LeBron James challenge happened, and stuff went crazy. So the funny thing about all of this is that when I was going to school, I was actually going to school to be a sports journalist. So like my passion had always been sports. I looked up to people like Stuart Scott, Chris Broussard, Stephen A. Smith. Like these were the guys that I used to watch and be like, bro, like I want to be these guys. And when the LeBron challenge blew up, I was like, all right, like you guys know me from sports now, because like that wave of following came from sports fans. And I was like, all right, you guys recognize me for sports, cool. I'm gonna keep doing this LeBron stuff, and then I'm gonna dead it. So it got to a point to where like I did about six or seven LeBron James challenges, because people just kept asking for them. Like, oh, you got to do this one every time LeBron uploads something on his IG. Yo, you got to do this one. So I was like, cool. After the 7th one, I cut it off, did something completely different. So then I started like talking and like actually giving people my knowledge of the game. And people would eat it up, because they was like, yo, the thing about you is that not only are you knowledgeable about the game, but you keep it real. And you put it in terms to where everybody can understand. And you put it in terms to where everybody can relate. And that's pretty much how I got to where I am now, as far as being like this staple in sports.
Absolutely, man. That's major, dude.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. What led you to roasting people? We know there's hate that comes along once you get a platform. What led you to just like roasting people? Because I got to ask you about that. Because I've looked at your videos.
Yeah.
I've seen you just tear into people.
Yeah. Well, that just comes from being from the DMV area. Like anybody from the DMV area, you know, like if you were in high school, you'd sit at the lunch table, people cracking jokes. It got so bad to like, people would crack jokes so bad that you were scared to laugh, because if you laugh too hard, somebody be like, boy, I know you ain't talking, and then just completely redirect the energy. So
there's nothing more worse than a DMV roast, because it's anybody can get it at any time. It's very random.
Anybody. It don't matter if you can just blurt out a word, you can just be like, dang, he got you. And he was like, boy, I know you ain't talking. Like the whole energy can switch. So sometimes like it's best to just stay quiet and just be calm, because you don't want to be that person that get that energy, because everybody around is going to instigate it. It's sort of like a fight. So if somebody comes, like say if I walked up to you and slapped you, right? My manager over here, he's gonna be like, damn, like it's like it's the instigation. So once the instigating happens, you just gonna be like, dang, like this is really happening.
Right.
But pretty much like I said, being from the DMV area, roasting has always been a thing. So it got to the point to where when the LeBron challenge was blowing up, I just kept seeing like hate comments. And it wasn't many, but you know, like it sticks out like a sore thumb. You going through your comments, you see a whole bunch of laughing.
Yeah, it screams louder.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this dude's hilarious. And next thing you know, this is trash. Get a life. And it's like, all right, like this is what we doing. So I did a video, and I actually posted the Throwback Thursday, I think it was last Thursday. And it was a kid named Fendi. I did a video because it was a picture going around of Danielle Bergoli, you know, the Catch Me Outside girl.
Yeah.
and she was 14 at the time. She's still underage to this day. And there was a picture saying, "Would you smash her?" And it was like grown men, like, man, I like, doing the R. Kelly stuff,
right?
And I was like, bro, like, why are y'all doing this? So I did a Dateline NBC parody over Bruno Mars's song, over a Bruno Mars song, and this kid Fendi, he had like clout on the internet. I can't remember if it was like Facebook or something like that, and he did like a response video to my to that video. And he started talking trash like, oh, you talk about Catch Me Outside, blah, blah, blah. She makes more than you, blah, blah, blah. You're like 50 years old. And I'm like, bro, who is this little kid? And why is he making a response video to my video? And I was like, all right, so he want to start cracking jokes. I'm going to have to give him this smoke. And that's once I gave him that and I saw the reaction to that, I was like, all right, bet. So now when it comes to these haters in my comments, I'm going to do the same thing because people love roasting. And after that, I just started letting them have it. And I see much less hate comments these days. It's hard because sometimes I have to go to other pages to try to find hate in the comments of shared videos.
Right. If your profile picture looks horrid, do not come on somebody's timeline, especially this man's timeline, roasting. He's from the DMV. If you see DMV in somebody's description, think before you post something negative. You will get roasted.
Yeah.
Please.
Like I can say right now, when it comes to roasting, the DMV area, Memphis, and Atlanta, I say those 5 areas are really those are guys that's really going to bring the smoke to you. So if you know anybody in those areas and you want to talk that stuff, you might want to redirect it to somebody that's like in Wisconsin. Right. You may get away with it, but like DMV, Memphis, and Atlanta, that's not going to fly.
Yeah, you just asking for it. You asking for your career to be ended.
Exactly.
At that point.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this question. You're at this stage now, and you went viral not only just on social media, but also, getting on SportsCenter was huge and stuff of that nature. I wanted to talk with you about this. What are some of the goals? What are some of the future ventures you're working on? What are some of the things that you're moving forward with?
Honestly, I want to become a personality. So after the LeBron challenge blew up, I fell into a box of the LeBron guy. So when people wanted LeBron content, they'd come to my page, but they weren't really looking for anything else. So I had to fight my way out of that box. And I feel like now people recognize me as Gowie versus recognize me as the LeBron guy. I mean, if I go out, people will still be like, oh, is that LeBron? And then they'll geek about it. But realistically, I'm not in that box anymore. I just did my first LeBron video last night since I don't even know when. So the LeBron content doesn't even come out like that anymore, but I'm still able to build my following because of who I am. So I want to be able to just become a well-known personality, whether it's social media personality or just somebody that pop up on red carpets, talk my talk, all that other good stuff. And I definitely eventually want to be able to have my own show or my own segment on a show, sort of like a Desus and Mero type setup to where I can just talk my trash on TV, not have to filter myself. Because that's the thing with a lot of these platforms is that a lot of these platforms reach out to content creators, but they don't allow the creators to create.
Right.
So they'll try to give you a script or they'll try to limit to what you can say or what you can do. And it's like, bro, this isn't my content, but I'm going to do it because you're paying me. But it's like, if you were to give me this same platform and allow me to be who I am, it would be beneficial for everybody.
Right. Because you're not being handicapped and stifled. You're actually being able to go your full-fledged way, and if they're handicapping you, it's not going to come out right.
Exactly. So it was one of those situations where I was like, all right, I can really make something happen. And I know in the comments a lot of people was like, they got to get this man a show, they got to get him on SNL, they got to get him on all this other stuff. And it's like, bro, if I could just even get a segment on a late night show, just give me a small sports segment and just let me do one skit per show. And it's that's all I want. I just want people to be able to see my content, recognize me, that I actually have talent. And that's pretty much it. Just get recognized and really get into this stuff to let myself be a staple in this game.
Absolutely. I think and that's the beauty of content creators now. We have enough equity, leverage, resources to provide ourselves the best opportunity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because now it used to be before, if you were talented, yeah, that's good. You got to come to us.
Yeah.
To even get seen.
Exactly.
You know, now the situation is different. Now any social media personality, and I don't care who you are, what you look like, how you sound, if you have a following and they are listening and they are rabid for you, you have leverage and equity to be like, hey, well, if you want me to be a part of this, this is what I can provide, but I need to be myself in these regards.
Exactly. And like you said, that's the beauty of social media, because before you had to go through casting calls and go through schools and go through like recruiting pools and all this other stuff. And it's like,
you
bro,
have to deal with that.
Like, yeah. And it's just like, even if you're a musician, it was like they had to build you up from the ground up. Now they're not even looking for people to build from the ground up. They're looking for people that have a following on their own, and they throwing contracts at them. They could have one hit record, and it's like they throwing $1 million deals at these people. And it's like,
them musicians got to watch out, because if anybody's gonna get screwed over first, it's gonna be them.
Oh,
with
most
them
definitely.
360 deals.
Most
oh my
definitely.
God.
That's why I'm glad I'm in the space that I'm in, because I was rapping at one point and I was like, nah, bro, like I gotta find something else to do. And the situation I'm in right now is, in the words of Plies, lovely. I can't complain. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, like I said, just having that social media build, and you're able to network with these different platforms, major platforms at that. Like recently, I just partnered with the NBA. It's like, how many people you know just in the average walk of life, oh, you're partnered with the NBA? Like, you don't know too many people like that can say that. I've done work with the NFL. I've done work with UFC. So it's like, these are all different sports, and I'm just one guy that blew up off a basketball video. So it was like just me being able to do these different things with these different companies, not being tied down to anybody, just being able to move and just work and pretty much just let my personality flow. It's a wonderful thing. I can't complain.
It's the best move.
Yeah.
It's the best move, man. It's really the best move.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite video to make that you personally enjoyed? You was like, that's a good memory right there.
I think my all-time favorite video would probably be my Kawhi video when I was rapping as a Spurs fan. So it was a parody to Jadakiss Why. And the reason why I love that video so much wasn't even much of the execution, but it was like I was able to show people that I was able to rap. Mm-hmm. Like, because everybody always had me in the box, and I felt like that was the first time I was genuinely myself. I was able to rap as myself, and I was pretty much like rapping to Kawhi. So not only was I doing something for me, but I was doing stuff for other people too, because I was still dressed up in character and I was still being funny, but I was able to show people like, this is who Gowie is, this is how Gowie raps, this is how Gowie works. So just the overall piece, it was like, dang, like this guy's really talented. And that's the video that really sticks out to me the most.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. Wanted your quick thoughts on this, and we're going to kind of go back to you. Drake being an ambassador for the Raptors. Mm-hmm. Do you think we'll start to see more artists, more personalities be ambassadors for other teams now that we've seen the Drake formula work? Or it depends on how big they are to really garner that type of impact? Yeah,
I think it all depends on how big that person is. Like, they're not just going to get like the random local rappers to try to be like brand ambassadors for their team, but somebody like a Drake or Jay-Z with Brooklyn, somebody that really has that type of status will probably be like an ambassador for the team. Honestly, I can say if Migos, Quavo, he's a real marketable guy. I could see him being like an ambassador for the Atlanta Hawks because, they're from Atlanta.
I think it'd be better if it was the three of them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think it'd be more impactful if it was the three of them. I feel like separately, it'll be nice, but it won't have the same impact if they're a group.
Yeah, and my only thing is just because, Quavo played in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game and stuff like that. So, his face is recognized around the NBA. People still throw Takeoff shade like, oh, where's the third one? Like, nah, like Takeoff is that guy. Right, but, if it's all three of them, most definitely, that would be ideal. But, I felt like if it was just a situation to where they had to get somebody that was the most recognizable, the most marketable, it would probably be Quavo or like a Gucci Mane or somebody like that. I feel like somebody can definitely step up and be the ambassador for Atlanta. A team like San Antonio, nah. Dallas, nah. I feel like it has to be sort of like that hip market.
Right.
So I feel like an Atlanta or a LA. I feel like LA could get somebody cool. Like RIP to Nipsey Hussle, but I feel like Nipsey could have been like an ambassador for the Lakers or the Clippers or something like that.
Yeah, if he had stayed around, I think he would have.
Yeah, definitely would have stuck around because his success started to show. And so I do feel like in the future we will see more, but I just feel like it's going to be in those popular markets.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. If there was one person that you always wanted to collab with, it can be a celebrity, it can be another personality on social media, anybody, for a video, who would you collab with and why?
If I had to pick one person, it would either be Will Smith or Jamie Foxx.
That's two good picks right there.
Yeah, Will Smith and Jamie Foxx are two of my favorite actors. And shout out to Will Smith. I'm wearing his shirt, by the way.
That is a fresh shirt, by the way. That's the first thing I saw when he showed up here. I was like, dang, that's a fresh outfit.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. But yeah, it would be one of them because they have experience with sports movies and stuff like that. Willie Beeman, Will Smith played Ali. So I just feel like that on top of their comedic personalities, we could make gold together. And yeah, it would definitely be one of those two. Because Jamie Foxx, he does Stephen A. He does, what is it? I think his character's like Cleveland A. Smith. Yeah. So he does Cleveland A. Smith. I do a Stephen A. Smith impression. So we could like even just do a spoof of that and run with that. So those would definitely be my two.
Absolutely. Well, Gowie, can you give us your social media where other people can follow you and your content of that sort?
Yeah, basically all my social media platforms are The Kid Gowie. That's DAKIDGOWIE. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, anything. Whatever you want to find me on is The Kid Gowie. I made it simple for y'all. Once again, DAKIDGOWIE.
Do we want to thank you for coming on? We really appreciate it, man.
No problem. I appreciate you for having me. This was fun.
Yep, this is definitely fun. We would love to have you back on in a future episode.
No doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
No doubt.
There we go. Well, this has been another edition of Audio Airstrike. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, everybody, don't try roasting this guy. It'll be your career. We'll see you later.